I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's episode 76 of the Mad Titan Podcast. I'm your resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. What's happening? How y'all feeling? Listen, I know a lot of y'all are like, yo, where you been and what's been going on? Why hasn't there been an episode in the pod in like a week and a half? Excuse me. Well, several things. One, it wasn't any news. Until this past week, I literally on my run sheet had 4 stories. That was it. I know that's like, yo, you can tell us about those 4 stories, but then that'd be me less than 20 minutes of me talking, because I don't have a guest this week either, so it's just me. Y'all already know how shit gets. It's just me letting my thoughts go. But I just had 4 stories. I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about with 4 stories, and that's it. So after this week, I have a lot more stuff to talk about. It's a little bit more substance, so gonna get a longer episode for sure. Also, I've been trying to juggle terrible internet service. Terrible. My internet has been ass. Like, if you follow me on Game Time with John Roken, Winston A. Marshall, and Blurs on the Hood, you know that the internet goes out like crazy. Got a router. That shit didn't change. Been having technicians out. One technician told me, dude, I said, yo, so the internet intermittently goes out between like noon to 4 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And then it does it on the weekends as well. My man's literally looked at me after looking at the line and everything and just shoulder shrugged and was like, yeah, we can't handle the bandwidth. You know, there's nothing we can do. You know, we weren't prepared for all these people on the internet, which I get. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you weren't prepared. No company was prepared. I've said that numerous times. Like, yo, the internet was never meant to hold this many people at the same time. Totally get that. But my man was like, you stuck, bro, basically. So then I had another technician came out. Now he's checked the lines. He's added some shit, some filters on it and things to stop some things it was doing. So I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. So that was another thing. Also, as your boy has been real honest and open with everybody between Blurs and here, this quarantine is finally getting to me. It hadn't really, it's gotten to me before, but it hadn't really gotten to me, if that makes sense. It hadn't really, how do I say this, damn near broken my spirit. It hadn't really had me feeling hopeless before. But recently, because I've been basically stuck in my crib. Not only just stuck in my house, I've been in my room. Like, for those who know, I got a roommate, and we're trying to change that. I'm trying to move currently. But I just been in my room, literally doing nothing but working out, working, watch a little bit of TV maybe, try to eat some vegan shit, and then that's it. I'm trying to go back to vegan more so than anything for a while. But that and the lack of having a car, because I don't have a car yet, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking to do that, but first I got to move. I got to have priorities, you know what I'm saying? Put them in order. So I'm stuck in here. And so it's really been driving me insane. And it's so funny because, like, a homegirl of mine, super cool chick, you know what I'm saying, was, we was talking, and she was like, yo, she was telling me everything was going on and some shit happened with her gig where one of her coworkers may have exposed her and customers and the gig to COVID because she came to work after finding out her father-in-law had tested positive for COVID, and then she tested positive and came to work still. So my homegirl tells me she has it, but then I started going through this shit so bad. A nigga was like, yo, I'm willing to risk the virus to get out this fucking house at this point. And damn, they started looking for flights to go back to the crib. So that's how That's one of the other reasons. Like, I've been dealing with that, and it's for those. Let me say this to anybody out here listening and those who are frequent of the podcast, and you may be dealing with this yourself. There may be this gigantic feeling of isolation. There may be this feeling of, damn, I got nobody to be with and to hang around and just to see on the regular or just have interactions with. You may feel that. And it's normal, I guess, at this time of life, at this point in life. And I hate to say that. I even hate to say that phrase. I really fucking do. I really fucking hate saying that this is normal. That us feeling like a level of hopelessness, us feeling like we're just isolated. Like, yo, as I'm recording this, it's on a Sunday. And you'll probably get it the same day. I got a bunch of stuff I still got to do, but I'm going to get this out today no matter what, I guess. If I don't, I'll get it out tomorrow. But my homie, one of my best friends, he's out on vacation with his girl and a bunch of their friends. And, you know, they're all out in, like, the desert partying. And granted, everybody that's together has been tested repeatedly. They've been making sure they're safe and everything so they all can party together, which is dope. But it's like, I saw that and instantly had this darkness in a sense over me, because it was just like, fuck, I can't even do that. I don't have friends out here like that. I got friends, yeah, but I don't have them out here like that where I can collectively get together. I'd have to go home for that. And again, that costs money to go home, and your boy sitting there trying to make more money anyway. So it's a lot. It is a lot, to be very honest. And so again, I don't want anyone that is dealing with this to think that you just are struggling and it's just fucked up, because it feels like it. It does. But, you know, the cliche statement, we'll all get through this shit together. We will make it happen and all those things. You know what I'm saying? And all those things. But nonetheless, for those who are new to the podcast, those who have been hearing about the Mad Titan and don't know what the Mad Titan fully is about and been wondering, yo, what's the deal, Jay, with everybody following you with this and trying to hear what's going on? What do you do here? Well, for those who are new, I get you caught up on everything happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. It is barbershop talk for nerds, okay? So I'm going to keep shit real, A100. I'm not going to spare your feelings. For those who know, if some shit about the Snyder Cut comes up, I feel like that. And I just don't care about it, and I say how I feel. And there's other things like that. I will say how I feel. And if I'm going to say something, and if I'm going to say something that people may deem derogatory about something, I'm going to have reasons to back it up. I'm not just going to say, yo, it's a piece of shit, and then be done with it. No. I got substantial reasons why I say what I say and how I feel, so we're going to rock with that. Yeah, so that's what that pretty much is. I am sitting here adding one last thing to the run sheet to make sure I have it all, because I'm like, yo, I got to get this out. I got to get this out to the people. So look, I always kick it off with my Marvel news. And in my first Marvel news of the day, from which I've had, again, information collected up, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to reprise his role as Doctor Strange in Spider-Man 3, which lets us know we're playing, again, Spider-Man Far From Home opened up the multiverse in the MCU. Whether Quentin Beck was from a multiverse or not, the fact he said it opened up the multiverse off jump. Benedict Cumberbatch's next movie, again, Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness. The bad guy is going to be Scarlet Witch, which is going to come from what happens in WandaVision. So also, you get a little bit more of that relationship that Doctor Strange and Peter Parker had in Endgame and Infinity War. So this is going to be great. A lot of things are happening with Spider-Man 3. Supposedly, the rumors have come out that, you know, it's so much going on. So we will see where that goes. I'm excited for it, again, because it's been so much now with all the Spider-Man stuff and the multiverse things, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And especially, we know, a lot of us are fans of the MCU. Some people don't like the way it goes and the direction it goes. But that's what I'll say. But again, Spider-Man 3, Benedict Cumberbatch. I already told you about Jamie Foxx's Electro coming to Spider-Man 3. And Jamie Foxx saying that his Electro won't be the blue one. So more so we'll get a version of the classic green and yellow. And it's also being rumored, again, this is rumored, that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are signing on for Spider-Man 3. Now, I personally wouldn't mind because, again, we've already said that Sony wants their own Spider-Verse. This is what they're doing. They're doing it. But I would honestly rather see Tobey Maguire pop up in Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness because of the connection he has with its director, Sam Raimi. Again, all rumored. Nothing is official. Sony has even responded to these rumors, and, basically they were like, these rumored castings are not confirmed. That was just the basic, thing. So they're not denying it directly. They're not trying to go around the bend about it. But again, Spider-Man, in its legacy for Sony, they are trying to make a live-action Spider-Verse. So is it possible? Yes. Spider-Man 3 has begun filming currently. So the eyes will be on seeing if somebody can spot either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. Now, I'm going to assume. Now, y'all can assume with me. And I understand when you assume, you potentially make an ass out of you and me. I get it, right? But should those two, Garfield and Maguire respectively, be in Spider-Man 3, I can almost guarantee we will not see them on an outside shoot set. You know what I'm saying? How we catch all these, behind the scenes photos and set photos and whatnot out there. We won't see them there. I'm pretty sure whatever they're going to do is going to be on a sound stage. Is going to be on a sound stage, so you can control what goes out, because you'll know if a photo leaks of either one. Hypothetically, if they in this shit, if photo leaks, it's somebody in this close intermediate circle that only had the access. With those set photos and those, those unofficial clips we see in different things, those are people who just happen to know a movie is filming. They know exactly what it is. They're in the right place at the right time, catch a video, catch a photo, things like that. So, again, it's with a grain of salt, y'all. So, the grain of salt. I like I said, it's possible, but also, it's the easiest rumor to fucking say. It's honestly the easiest rumor to come up with. Once you heard that Jamie Foxx's Electro, who was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, was happening for real, you're like, oh, Garfield will be coming in. Because again, live action Sonyverse. Then you're like, oh shit, Sam Raimi, Doctor Strange 2, Sam Raimi did the trilogy. So, that's that. The New Mutants. You know what? Did anybody notice how there was so much, man, is New Mutants ever going to come out? Is New Mutants ever going to come out? Is it ever going to come out? Is it ever going to come out? Is it ever going to come out? Oh, they got a date? Wait, what? It's in August. Wait, what? There's a pandemic in theaters. Are you serious? It's going to come out? Okay, sure. And then it does. And after it came out, everybody was just like, okay, I guess we just move on from now. And that's literally what it felt like. But it will be released on Disney Plus in November. Now, for those who didn't go see it in the movie theater or drive-in, myself included, we will finally see what all the hype or lack thereof was. From what I've heard, it was a pretty decent movie. At the end of the day, people are like, it's not terrible, but it's all right. And again, I didn't have any real expectations one way or another, because I knew with the film itself, nothing could come of it. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting shit else after this. There's no sequels. There's no extension movies off of it. This is it. As because when it was being created, yeah, there was potential for all this shit, and the movie may set up the potentiality of things, but the reality of it is this shit ain't happening. So, I mean, it'd be cool. Speaking of Disney Plus, WandaVision is possible to drop on Disney Plus this Thanksgiving, but it's seeming more and more likely they're going to pop it to December. So either way it goes, one way or another, we're getting WandaVision before the end of the year. The show is pretty much done. It's wrapped. They just got to drop the, release dates. And I can't wait. I need to hit up, see if I can get some screenings of it and get some previews and blah, 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 and all that good shit. So I'm waiting to see about that. I just mentioned a little bit earlier about behind the scenes and set photos and videos, and sometimes those that are unofficial. Well, Falcon and Winter Soldier, during some of the filming in Prague, a set video showed U.S. Agent, they're doing U.S. Agent, who becomes the new Captain America, played by John Walker, brutalizing the shit out of somebody with Steve Rogers' shield. Now, if you're unfamiliar and it makes sense of what the storyline is, and I mean it makes sense what the storyline is, the reason it's called the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is that the U.S. government does not want to acknowledge Sam Wilson as Captain America, even though Steve Rogers picked him, gave him the shield, everything, right? The government is basically like, nah, you can't be Captain America because, we didn't pick you. Yeah, that's the excuse we're going to go with instead of just saying you black and that shit ain't going to work. Because remember, in the comics, there was so much backlash to Sam Wilson being Captain America. And it was solely for the fact because he was a black Captain America. If you're listening to this and you think it wasn't that, you are a goddamn fool. But yeah, they're bringing in U.S. Agent. So again, Steve Rogers is dead. So we'll see what happens with that. And I forgot to bring back up. So with the Doctor Strange sequel, let's go back to that, okay? The Babysitter's Club on Netflix, it star Xochitl Gomez is headed to Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness in a mystery role. Now, many people believe that she is going to be America Chavez as they are setting up the Young Avengers in this movie. Again, the twins are coming, Speed and Wiccan, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, all these. We're getting the setups for the Young Avengers. We'll get that then, boom. Well, immediately after they said that she was cast in the film, there was no direct confirmation that she is America Chavez, first and foremost. Let me say that. Nobody said that she was directly America Chavez. It's just that she's been cast in the movie, right? Well, the backlash hit instantly, and it was a rightful so. Now, here's the problem. Here's why it's rightful, and here's the problem behind it. Xochitl Gomez is a light-skinned Latinx woman, whereas America Chavez is a black Puerto Rican woman. That has been the main thing about her throughout all the iterations in the comics. She's always been a black Puerto Rican woman. She's been Afro-Latina. And it's a thing that is part of her identity, right? Everybody was like, yo, you're not finna do this. Remember, the problem with Sunspot from the New Mutants, and they've been doing this a lot, where you will not cast dark-skinned Latinx men or women. Again, I understand that backlash. The problem, it hasn't been confirmed that that's what she's playing. Again, we do this a lot, and I say we as the collective nerd geek world, the fans of the Marvel movies, MCU, DC movies, whatever, is that when we hear somebody cast in a movie, or TV show, we 9 times out of 10 draw an assumption as to automatically who we believe they're playing. Now, don't get me wrong, some of those times, you're absolutely right. They are playing that person. But many times it's just like, oh, this seems like obvious, so bam, right? But that's not That's not the case. If she is playing America Chavez, I think Marvel Studios is hella bogus. I say this as not just a pundit, whatever, a geek, a host. I don't even say this as an actor whose goal is to be in a Marvel Studios film or TV show. For those who know, I'm trying to be a villain somewhere. Would they possibly cast me as a hero if you find a hero with thick ass shoulders and he black like me? And it's like, oh, he's a substantial hero. But I say this as a dude who just like, yo, we got to chill if it ain't that person. But if, like I said, if it ain't that person they cast, we got to chill. But if it is, hell yeah, they bogus. They absolutely bogus. And before I go further, because it's in the front of my brain, these why people get mad or what you mad about or, whitewashing or things like that only applies to when characters are predicated by their race, right? So I say that people will have, we bring up certain characters who have been recast as another race, another gender, et cetera, et cetera. And then you see a black person cast as a white character, right? And then you get these lame ass, goof ass nerds, or these it's 9.95 times out of 10 white boys, just we know it is, who will try to say this following statement, and I want to cyber slap the shit out of them. They like to go, well, what if Black Panther was cast as a white person? First of all, that would never happen. Because T'Challa's story is predicated on him being a black African king. And I also have to predicate the word black because in South Africa, which is on the continent of Africa, there are white people. There are white South Africans, right? So just to use as an example. But there are other characters. I remember this came up primarily with the a black Superman discussion. And everybody was like, oh, Superman can't be black. Superman's always been white. And I was like, yo, Superman is a fucking alien. Superman has been alien. He was white because that was the only thing that could be accepted back in the day. So it's kind of just what I want to say about that. So I just felt that was necessary. But again, if that's who she is playing, then yeah, Marvel needs to address that. I definitely agree they should address it. If not, can we just chill? Can we chill? All right. And some more Disney Plus news. The Disney stakeholders, they are pushing for Black Widow to be released on Disney Plus. They're pushing for it. Now, this is due to the uncertainty of theaters, due to the current global pandemic, which we are still in the fucking midst of. For some reason, people keep thinking that, oh, I'm over it, so it's done. That's not how this fucking works at all. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. I don't know where people got to thinking, oh, man, I'm sick of it being a fucking pandemic, man. So you know what? I'm over the shit, bro. I'm finna go kick it. You know what I'm saying? I got a mask, so whatever. It is what it is. Like, that is... It's not a thing. But here's what it is. Since they said that Disney is going to shift their focus to streaming, they have a desire to have a title like Black Widow to debut on Disney Plus. Now, this is what Walt Disney Company investor Dan Loeb, he said he made it clear he's urging them to bypass theatrical debuts and focus on Disney Plus. He says, my understanding is that the old line executives don't want to go over the top with their big tentpole movies, which is why they announced they were pushing Black Widow and other movies to 2021. I don't think they appreciate the tiger they have by the tail, which is to say the value they can drive by moving into a subscription model, which have been adopted by everyone from Microsoft to Amazon. It's value accretive. What Netflix has is this immense subscriber base that allows it to invest an enormous amount of content and amortize that to get more subscribers. Disney isn't there yet, but they need to get there as quickly as possible. So, Another thing that helped, because again, Soul, which is Disney Pixar, is going to debut on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. Instead of pushing it back in theaters, it's just going to debut on Christmas Day. The reason things like that is, again, the uncertainty of theaters. And remember, Tenet was the benchmark to see if people would come rushing out to theaters. Christopher Nolan was like, "We gotta go to the theaters, okay? We gotta make this budget back. Put the goddamn movie in the theater. Don't you wait no fucking more. I was open. Put it out. Don't you send it the video on demand, goddamn it. Just to put it in the theaters, right?" And he thought that was gonna be the case. And he thought Tenet was gonna be the movie that was gonna resurge the box office, especially domestically, and help to save the theater industry. Well, that was a flop in regards of what it was supposed to do. I think as of now, it's only generated like $400 million domestically at the box office, and its international draw wasn't as big either. So you have a movie like Tentpole that was highly touted. What do you think is going to happen? People didn't want to go to theaters. It just didn't. So you have another blockbuster film like Black Widow, which is setting up the next phase of the MCU, and people know, look, no matter what people say, people go see MCU movies, right? Whether they love them or fucking hate them, they go see them. So you have where this giant movie you want to put out, let's say you're Disney, you say, fuck it, we actually put it out in theaters, and it bombs. You're saying May 2021, which is a safe bet, hoping for a vaccine, hoping for calmness in the surge of cases and things like that. And so it's a safe bet. But the more you keep pushing one back, you have to push everything else back. And then you run into these, do you age out certain characters you may need? Et cetera, et cetera. So I know when Disney did Mulan on Disney Plus and released it for $30, a lot of people had a lot of backlash. The movie in itself caught criticism regardless, for various reasons, and the least of them was the $30 price point, because again, the $30 price point was not for the average single viewer. Yeah, you might have wanted to go see it if you were the average single viewer, single man, single woman, whatever, but it was more so geared towards families. It was geared towards families. People forget, Trolls made $300 million solely off video on demand. When that happened, that showed studios it can be done, especially with family films. But when it comes to Mulan, going back to Disney, you have a star who is anti-Hong Kong and all this going on, and you got all this different rhetoric, and so that didn't help it. People were upset about the movie because, again, people who saw it were like, yo, they made her a superhero. There's no songs, there's no Mushu, and again, it's live action, so it's like, some people even said it wasn't, as accurate to the story. There's so much. But I want to know from you guys. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. Let me know if Black Widow comes out on Disney Plus. Will you watch it? Will you watch it? Because I'm not going to lie to you. If I have the option to watch it on, Disney Plus at home or somebody's giant inflatable screen, I understand there's something about seeing movies in the theaters. I get it. That is an experience in itself. I know the beauty of seeing MCU movies in theaters with the fans. I know that feeling. I'm like a lot of y'all. But as much as I want to get out the house, as much as I want to be around people, I still don't trust a lot of you motherfuckers. I just don't. So I would probably pay whatever the price point is to see it. Now, as long as it's not ridiculous, I'm not paying $30. Now, if you told me it was $20, I'd pay it. I'd pay $20 with no problem. 20 is an easy number for people to pay. Let's just call it what it is. I understand some people are listening and going, Jay, people ain't working and blah, 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 blah. And that's true. I get it, because guess what? I'm not working. I potentially will not go back to work at my regular job as a bouncer at a nightclub till 2021. Well, Jay, how are you getting by, surviving? How are you living? Well, I'm scratching literally because I ain't getting unemployment. So, but it's something I want. I would budget that $20 to see this. I blow $20 on some dumb shit at times when I realize, like, fuck, I could have kept this money to myself. So that's that. All right, let's move on to some more Marvel news. I told you I got a lot of news that came out this week, and this is in a lot of good and interesting stuff. All right, so on the last episode and on Blurs, I talked about how Orphan Black Star Tatiana Maslany was cast as She-Hulk, and it came out, and the trades all published it, and it was a great announcement. Everybody was like, rock it. I saw what she did in Orphan Black. I can see what she does with this. Well, here's where shit gets weird. Tatiana Maslany has denied the reports. This is what she said. Quote, that actually isn't a real thing, and it's like a press release that's gotten out of hand. This is what she said in an interview to the Sudbury Star. She goes on to say, it's totally not. I've been connected to these things in the past, and press has gotten to it, but it's not actually a thing, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know how these things get. I don't know. You know better. I have no idea. So this is so wild. Like, this is very unusual. You have an actor deny the casting after the trades who are reputable when they put this stuff out. Like, if Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, if they put out somebody's been cast in something, they've been cast in something. They're not just going to put out something and it's just like, oh, this is a possible. No, it's like, okay. This is weird because it's set to begin production in Atlanta, Georgia early next year. Now, of course, Dead to Me director Kat Coiro is going to helm it. She's going to helm the pilot and several of the episodes. And Rick and Morty scribe Jessica Gao is going to lead the writer's room. But this is just like, why? If you are She-Hulk, why put people through this roundabout unnecessarily? Why make? Because if you are, right, and you're saying you're not, you are literally killing the credibility of all the major trades that report this news. Because now people are going to be like, well, Deadline and Variety ran this story and it wasn't real. This ain't like We Got This Covered, which is full of shit and garbage and trash. And if you or anybody you know shares those stories and believe they're real, you need to get your fucking head examined. But these are trade papers and organizations that have been proven. They've vetted their sources. They've made sure what they're about to tell you is 100% legit. So this is one of those things that, you know, when people say, then please stand by as, you know, more and more information comes out, I think that's the only way you can say about this, because this is just crazy to hear. Like, everybody was like, yo, this is a dope casting. Mark Ruffalo sat there, was like, what's up, cuz? So we'll have to see. In another news story, now non-Marvel Studio movies. These are movies that are not Marvel Studios. They've been dubbed Marvel Legacy on Disney Plus. Okay, so of course all the X-Men movies, the Fantastic Four movies are there. Now, Spider-Man movies, people thought they were going to come to Disney Plus. That is not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. They are still Sony properties. And remember, Sony is building their own Spider-Verse. But X-Men, X2, Fantastic Four, The Wolverine, X-Men Days of Future Past, Fantastic Four, all of Fantastic, X-Men, Ivan Ooze, you know, all those are under the Marvel Legacy banner. So, and of course, yeah, X-Men and FF are going to get rebooted, and those movies, when they're rebooted, will be under the MCU banner, but, you know, it is what it is with that. And my final Marvel news story for the day, Hellstrom, the new series just dropped on Hulu. I think it's one of the last old Marvel television shows. I don't know if Marvel Studios has it, but it's dropped on Hulu. I have not checked it out yet. I will check it out when I get a chance. I got to do a lot of catching up with a lot of the watchings of things. So I will definitely check that out. All right. Let's go in to my DC news, ladies and gentlemen. Where was it? I just had all this information. Well, there's that. Where was it? Okay. There we go. So, Green Lantern on HBO Max. It gets his showrunner and writers. And its showrunner is going to be Seth Grahame-Smith, who was originally attached to direct The Flash. But he's going to serve as showrunner and writer. And Mark Guggenheim, one of the heads of the Arrowverse, good friend of mine, is going to be leading the writers' room of that. And so I'm excited. Now, it's got a series order, so it's going to series on HBO Max. Now, here's the thing. Now, plot details that are available will let you know the lanterns that are in it. Okay? These are the lanterns in it, and it's important you know these, and I'll tell you why. So you're getting Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, and Alan Scott, who was Earth's first Green Lantern, and who, true to the comics, is a gay man. And you're going to get many other lanterns. You're going to get Kilowog, you're going to get Sinestro, and whatnot. Now, it's going to be 10 one-hour episodes. This is going to be interesting. Now, the reason I brought up the lanterns that you're getting, no Hal Jordan, no Jon Stewart. Why? There's still a Green Lantern Corps movie happening, ladies and gentlemen. And the Corps, we now know the two that the Corps movie is going to focus on is Hal and John. It's a buddy cop movie, Lethal Weapon style in space. You know, we heard the buddy cop. We assumed it was going to be Jon Stewart, but nobody knew what the other Lantern was going to be. Some people wanted Kyle Rayner. Some people were like, yo, give me Hal Jordan. So it's going to be Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern Corps movie, which I think Jeff Johns is tackling that. This is interesting, too, for several reasons with me. Again, the names of the characters. Because of another former DC Universe, now official CW show, Stargirl. Why do I say that? If you remember season 1 of Stargirl, when we got the different members of the JSA, you got a new Dr. Midnight, you got a Wildcat, you got an Hourman, Stargirl from Starman, but you also had 2 members, one for sure that's coming next season in Jakeem Thunderbolt, but Johnny Thunderbolt, excuse me, but there was also a lantern. Never forget there was a Green Lantern's lantern. And the thing was, Pat told Courtney, the lantern is no good without the ring. So, could this tie together into the Green Lantern HBO Max series? Because it's a live action series. So, it's so much that you can do with this, especially when you're talking about lanterns. You have so many of them. Again, the ones I named that are involved in the series, and many other ones we're going to get as well. So I'm very, very stoked for that. The Batman, there's been so many set photos. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot looks amazing. He is unrecognizable for that. Here's the thing. I can see if this movie finally comes out in 2022, which has been pushed back again, because of Oswald Cobblepot's makeup and the way the transformation of Colin Farrell, it'll be nominated for an Oscar. Never forget, Suicide Squad is an Academy Award-winning film. It won Oscar for Best Hair and Makeup, and that is primarily for Killer Crocs. So, it's possible. But there have been so many set photos coming out on top of that. There's also one that shows a costume party. Now, here's what's unique about that. In that costume party, there are 2 people dressed, a man and a woman. One is dressed as Superman, the other is Wonder Woman, which leads us to believe that they exist in this universe. Again, DC is no stranger to its multiverse, so that just doesn't surprise. But we now know officially that, yeah, you have a year 2 Batman, but Superman has been around, as has Wonder Woman. So that's pretty cool. There's some casting announcements that have come out for Black Adam. Sarah Shadi has been cast, and they believe she's going to play Isis, but that may not be the case. And Marwan Kenzari, he's from Aladdin and the Old Guard, which is an amazing fucking movie. If you have not checked it out, it's on Netflix. Stars Charlize Theron. Fucking phenomenal movie. Please check that out. But he's being eyed for the role of Ishmael Gregor, aka Sabak. So we'll have to see what happens with that. And it's also interesting because of the pushback of the slate, that the pushback of the slates and the movie schedules because of, again, the global pandemic in which we're in the midst of, ladies and gentlemen. Let us please not ever forget that, okay? Let us please not forget that there's a fucking pandemic happening. Just want people to remember that. It took, we thought originally that Black Adam was supposed to come out December 21st, 2021, but it, it took some time. But The Rock has let people know what's going on. And so he posted on Instagram because he is currently taping his NBC series, Young Rock. But he says, quote, in the spring, we'll shoot the big one, Black Adam for the DC Universe. All 3 big productions, all shot here in the state of Georgia. Now, Adam Brody, who plays Superpower Freddy, has told Entertainment Tonight that he's expected to return to the DC Universe of the Furies of the Gods early next year. That's what Fury of the Gods is, the Shazam sequel. He says not only do they keep these things under wraps to a certain degree from us, but they certainly keep it under wraps from the public. He says, so even if I knew much, and I don't, I doubt I'd be able to divulge anything. Brody goes on to say, but the way I hear it, it sounds like maybe early next year, maybe early this coming year, we'll start production. And what lies in store, I really don't know. I'm waiting just like you. So, also, he is currently shooting Red Notice as well in Georgia. So, he's actually shooting a lot of stuff. He's shooting a lot of stuff. The Rock is, Dwayne Johnson. But again, I'm excited to see Shazam. I mean, we've got all these concept art photos, which are dope. I want to see him in the suit. I just really want to see him in a suit. That about does it for all of the news that I have. I'm going to go right now to the Mad Titan Podcast hotline. Thank you all who have been calling. 818-276-6947. 818-276-6947. Or if you want, you can email me. You can email your boy, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com. I'm going to go to some of the emails that I have. They've been, accumulating a bit, so we're going to get to them all. First off, the email is from Joshua Alicia with the subject, Keep Grinding. He says, Jay, been listening to the pod ever since I saw you on Screen Junkies a handful of times last year. I love your opinion and enjoy the unique perspective you have on entertainment. I have 2 questions for you if you'll indulge me. 1, how do you feel about Marvel or DC fans who have never read the comics but love the movies? My wife is a huge Marvel fan but has never picked up a comic. I'm almost envious at times because she just gets to enjoy the ride instead of watching with a mental checklist. And 2, where do you stand on the theater experience versus streaming at home? I'll be honest, I work in the cinema industry, so I'm biased. But I think for certain films like Tenet, you can't duplicate a theatrical experience at home, regardless of how nice your audio is set up or the big screen is at home. Love the pod and keep grinding, bro. Josh. First and foremost, Josh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. I'm glad you've been along for the ride. I try to keep my unique perspective is always because it's going to be me. It's nobody else's. I'm not finna bow down and be on the network and like, hey, don't say this because you might upset them. Like, yo, you want an honest opinion, I'm going to give you an honest opinion. It's always been that way, so thank you for that. To your first question, I feel the exact way you do sometimes. I'm envious because they can just enjoy the ride. And I see this so many times online where diehard comic book aficionados, if you will come at people for not knowing the canon of a character, not knowing what happened in this particular issue, in this storyline, in this run. And we can't take that from them. Because look, there's a whole generation growing up right now that have never read these unique stories and tales that we all grew up with that become the skeletal structure for a lot of these movies. There's an entire generation. All they will have are the movies. So all they will have are the movies that they see now and those that they go back. Who are we to tell them is wrong? Because their canon is different than our canon. You know what I'm saying? So I agree. I would love it if a lot of people read, because again, some people were like with the with Infinity War and Endgame, it was like, yo, this ain't the Infinity Gauntlet story. Well, again, you cannot translate everything page for page from a comic book to a movie. You just can't. Doesn't work like that. Secondly, you have to add other things, other elements to make a movie. But at the same time, I'm not complaining with either movie. Endgame, everybody was like, well, I don't know if I liked Endgame as much as I liked Infinity War. It had so much and all these people and blah, 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 blah. Yo, it was the culmination of 10, 11 years. Chill out. Chill the fuck out. And to your second question, where do I stand on the theater experience versus streaming at home? I said it earlier when it came to seeing MCU movies, when I was talking about the Disney Plus and Black Widow situation. I agree. There is nothing like a theater experience. I would be remiss, I'd be a liar if I said anything otherwise. There's nothing like a theater experience. Can't take that away. But I do have to say still, it's, can we trust society at this point? Can we trust people? Can we trust people? And it's, I know, people like, oh, I can just go in. I got my mask on. I'm safe. But everybody else isn't thinking that way. And I know some people who, let's just be honest, everybody's not keeping a mask on for 2+ hours, because that's the pretty much average length of a film nowadays. So it's difficult. And yeah, again, I brought up the having projection screens, inflatable screens, and all this stuff, and trying to emulate it. But there's something about that theater experience, and I think that's because we become so accustomed to it. It's all we really know. Yeah, there's been home theaters and, movie nights at home. But when it comes to blockbuster films, when first seen, we've become accustomed to seeing them in the theater. We become accustomed to going out, buy a ticket, maybe get concessions, sit down, get comfortable, and just sit back for the ride. Then leave out the theater, and there's something behind that experience. There's something to it. We've become accustomed to it. We've grown with it. But it kind of ties into what everything has been called now as a new normal. How we now have to adapt and adjust to the situation. Look, I was talking to people because on a whole nother subject of type of film, Coming to America 2 has been moved from Paramount to Amazon. So it's not coming out in theaters. It's going to be released on Amazon Prime. And some people were like, oh, if I had to wait 3 years to see it in the theater, I would. That's not true. Everybody's not going to do that. Let's just keep it real. Everybody's not going to fucking wait all these years. If you want to see something, you'll see it. Look, there are some people like, yeah, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. I need the theater experience. But what happens if that never happens again? Let's be honest. The pandemic has potentially killed the theater industry. I hate to say it. Theaters live and die. Movie theaters live and die off movies being in there. Movies not being released in theaters because studios and marketing execs know people are not coming out doesn't help them survive. So if you're the production company, these movie studios, you have to adapt and adjust. The easiest way, streaming. Again, people may not like it, but Trolls, the new Trolls movie, Trolls World Tour, changed the game. Yes, it's a kid's movie. It's a family movie. Yes, I get it. I had to watch Trolls World Tour more times than I can count in the span of a weekend with my daughter when I spent it up there with her a couple weeks ago for her birthday. But it changed the game because people at home collectively spent $300 million on this movie. I don't care what people may say about, well, it's a different type of vibe and whatnot. That's not what movie studios, are looking at. They're not looking at what different type of movie it is. They're not looking at what different, genre it may be. They're looking at people were willing to spend $300 million collectively from home. It's all that matters to them. Then you had, because then what makes it even better for them to push the streaming route is people spent $300 million just being at home. Tenet struggled to reach $300 million at the box office. Granted, yes, every theater wasn't open. This is true. But even those theaters that were open weren't having a flood of people consistently coming in. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's an adapting thing. I think that you just got to figure out where you go from there. And again, thank you for your question, and I'm glad you're aboard on the pod. Again, if it's your first time listening to me, man, appreciate y'all as well. Let's go to my next email. Shouts out to Jolene, appreciate you. Audience question. Hey Jay, Jolene back with a question I've been trying to figure out how to best word regarding the possible casting of Magneto in the MCU. For the record, I'm also not Jewish, on top of not being black. Sorry, this is long. There's been a long theorizing of recasting Magneto as a survivor of the Rwandan genocide, and I'm not inherently opposed to it, but I do sort of question it. My reasoning being, along with the line of characters' background being important to them, like Black Panther's an African king, just like Bruce Wayne is the child of old American money. Now, these are examples of their background supporting their race as black and white men in comics. Magneto is more of a conversation about ethnicity. He is a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust. He's one of a handful of prominent Jewish characters in the comic books. The fact that he is Jewish is very important to the character. I mean, he survived the Holocaust. It's one of his defining traits. Sadly, in the past, Hollywood has seemed to de-emphasize the importance of other Jewish characters they adapt to cinema. Kitty Pryde didn't really deal with her faith in the movies, though she didn't do much in the movies. But more recently, Batwoman seemed to barely touch the fact that she was Jewish. It's a very important aspect in the comics. But on the other hand, making him a survivor of the Rwandan genocide would likely educate a lot more people about that tragedy, and would also be easier to have make sense given the movies are going to probably take place in 2025 or later. I know this was long. I'm sorry for that, but I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts about this. Jolene. First and foremost, always appreciate you. Always appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the Supervillain Squad at that one-on-one tier, and the conversations we have had have been phenomenal. Thank you, and I'm very appreciative for you. I do get it. I've said this before myself, previously on here, on different episodes and other places. Him being Jewish does hold a lot of value because of, him being Jewish and a survivor of the Holocaust, a genocide, which is pretty much the same thing, when you go genocide, because they were trying to eliminate an entire race, and the Rwanda genocide, and I'll go forward, and Armenian genocide, and so on and so forth. Yes, because of the Holocaust, which is a very tragic event. But the problem you already addressed is it's going to take place in 2025 or later. That is the biggest issue. And you just don't, you're trying, the Holocaust was it started in 1933 and ended in 1945. So, even if you put Eric Magnus's story where he was born at the end of the Holocaust, let's just say born in 45, that makes him, if it's 2025, makes him 80 years old. If you put him in the middle, say 1937, again, 2025, let's see, 1937. My brain is on a blank right now, and I normally can do the math real quick. I can do math real fast, but my mind is on a blank real quick because I'm not looking at it right. If you do 1937, it makes him 88 years old. Now, Sir Ian McClellan, had a look that gave an older man, but again, 2000, 60 years old, he looked that perfect time frame in that age. I don't think we would find anybody that can pull off 88 years old that would present somewhat of a credible threat. It's not to take away from it. I've never really, honestly, because I'm not Jewish, so that's probably why I've never paid attention to how Jewish characters are portrayed in comic book movies or in movies in general. I've never really paid attention. I've seen where I've seen jokes be made about Jewish characters, about them being Jewish. The character who's being played by a person who's Jewish will make Jewish jokes, if that makes sense. I've seen that many times before. But as far as characters, like I did not realize that Kitty Pryde was. That is something that's on me that maybe I should have checked into even more, but I didn't see that. And so I don't know where to go with that going forward. Again, I agree the Rwandan genocide makes it something a little bit more current to date to have, but it makes it current to date. And again, it's not trying to devalue what the Holocaust was, what it means to Holocaust survivors, to the Jewish people who survived that, and just in general those generations after. It's not to devalue that by any means. It's just that you have to have something that takes place, because again, we're talking 2025, our time, real life. We got to remember we are in the MCU, we're at a 5-year jump already. So again, this may be in MCU times 2020, 2031, 2032. So that's where a lot of problems somewhat come in, if that makes sense. It's a very tricky one, and I understand. And no matter what happens with it, because again, if you try to find somebody and try to use the thing that his mutancy keeps him looking young, it's like, wait, what? Because of the electromagnetic fields, they'll try to do things like that. But you got to figure out how to play that. But again, it's going to be really tricky one way or another. So I most definitely thank you for that email as always. Let me go to my next email that I have. It's from the homie J.L. Phillips. His question is his email is regarding Spider-Man. He said, "What's up, Jay? I have to say that you and Winston taking them shots was gold. Good laughs all the way around. My first question this week is with Doctor Strange and the rumors of past characters from previous Spider-Man movies making an appearance. Do you think we'll get to see Miles Morales make his debut in the MCU? Bonus question. What do you think about Shamar Moore's Namor since it's close to Wakanda? Or do you go the older approach, Kevin Bacon? Hope everything is good your way, pimpin'. J.L. Phillips II. First of all, J.L., thank you always for the email. Thank you for the support. If you have not seen that episode of Blurreds, where Winston and so what happened was Winston was on SEN earlier that day, and he was trying to help SEN reach their goal, and he said for every $100 people donated to help them reach their goal, he would take a shot. And so that was like total 8 to 10 shots or some shit like that he had to take. So he gets on IG or Twitter later and says, well, okay, I'm going to keep this going, and for every $50 donated on Blurreds, I'll take a shot. And so I was like, well, I ain't finna leave my mans hanging. I said, yo, I'll take a shot with him. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'll take a shot with him. This is actually episode 42 of Blurreds. All I know, I don't drink like that anymore. I don't. So I stopped drinking heavily and just in general. I only really drink when it's on a real occasion or it's necessary. If I'm celebrating something with somebody, things like that, I just don't drink just to drink. I don't just go, I need a drink. I don't do that anymore. I stopped it. So it easily gets me fucked up. Easily. So I was around this bitch leaning. But that was episode 42 of Blurreds in the Hood. YouTube.com/BLERDS. The letter N, THEHOOD. So back to your second question. I kind of addressed it. When I addressed the Miles Morales, I think that would be a good idea to finally give us the Miles Morales. I mean, if you're going to do it, but the problem is, I think we will see Miles Morales in a Sony film more before we see him in an MCU movie. You get what I'm saying? I think we would see him in a Sony film. So whatever a Sony Spider-Man film is, a Kraven the Hunter film, Silk, Jackpot, Madam Web, I think we would see a live-action Miles Morales in one of those before we see him in the MCU movie, to be quite honest. I think it would be smart on Sony to save that character as a live-action debut for one of your own movies. Just the way it is. And about Shamar Moore as Namor, I can dig it. I can really fucking dig it. I can really dig it. And I think that's who you use when it comes to Black Panther 2. Because, again, I've said my theory on how you do that. Shuri takes up the mantle because T'Challa has disappeared. You know, something happened after the snap again. You know, something happened. We don't know what T'Challa is. Boom. Shuri takes up the mantle. The bad guy is Namor because Namor is mad. What Wakanda, and because of the war that happened when the big fight, the climatic battle happened in Wakanda in Infinity War, it fucked with Atlantis. He's upset. Shuri has to deal with him. End of the movie. Whoever our new Black Panther is, who hopefully has not been announced. That's one thing. I hope they do not announce it. Make sure it's a great choice. Do some feelers somewhere, somehow. Do some sneaky, post on Twitter and IG. And then he returns. T'Challa turns. It's the new Black Panther. Then the Black Panther 2. He retakes the mantle. Ipso facto. Done. But yeah, I'm cool with Shamar Moore. Altogether. I got a voice message here. So I'm going to go to my caller right now.
Jay, what's good? It's your boy Milton from Pennsylvania. Hey, real quick, I've been going through a whole MCU phase, watching some of the movies. And I was watching Age of Ultron the other day, and spoiler alert, we know that Quicksilver dies, okay? But for WandaVision, do you think that Quicksilver will be featured in that series upcoming, just to talk about the torment of what Wanda has lost when it comes to Vision, but also her losing her brother? Because I think, from what my recollection, the movies haven't really touched on her losing her twin brother. I mean, we all know in life, if you have a twin, you are connected to that sibling, some way, shape, or form. So I'm curious if you think that the WandaVision series will cover not just Wanda's traumatic loss of Vision, but also her traumatic loss of her brother. Next thing, I just want to say this on the record. We Got This Covered is trash. And I know you've mentioned that before. I just want to put it out there because I am tired of that website popping up, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. All they do is report bullshit and just recycle other people's stories. And half the time it's not even true how they even report them. So just want to put it out there for the record. Super villain for life. Appreciate it, brother. Peace.
All right, man. Thank you, Milton, as always, man. I appreciate you rocking with me, the Super Villain Squad for life. I appreciate it, man, for sure. First off, yeah, We Got This Covered is absolute ass. It's absolute ass, and I don't understand why people keep giving that fucking website the benefit of the doubt or the time of day. It is clickbait bullshit. They don't give a fuck about real stories. They just post something to get clicks because those clicks can turn around to advertisers and make dollars off of it. And so I've reported like Facebook groups that have posted We Got This Covered shit. Like, yo, anytime you read an article, and if it's from someplace else and it says originally sourced by We Got This Covered, it's bullshit. It's trash. Back to your WandaVision question. Absolutely. She's lost her brother. I think this is when we finally touch on that. Because she has to go through, now Vision is alive again, and she doesn't understand how. Because she's trying to probably make him alive, but she can't get it right. And then she still has to go through the loss of her brother. Which, again, multiverse, which is gonna bring in Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the Fox movies, because now it's a Quicksilver, but it's not. He'll see her as his sister. She won't know him or understand. Again, so I think that's the way that's going to go with that. But I do believe we're definitely going to get into her torture and her trauma about that. So I appreciate your call, bro, as always. And that about wraps up everything I've got in the email and the phone calls, of course. You can email me, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com, madtitanpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can go ahead and give me a call on the hotline, 818-276-6947, 818-276-6947. And that wraps up everything for this episode. Excuse me, had to burp. Episode 75 of the Mad Titan Podcast. Man, thank you to everybody who listened, everybody who rocked with your boy for this one. I appreciate it, man. Sorry for the delay, but as you see, hopefully I gave y'all enough, and I gave you a good one by myself. I had to push through this, but, you know, I'm missing some of the Bears game, but damn it, I love my squad. I love people who rock with Mad Titans, so I'm always going to give y'all this first and foremost. What am I so spo? I've been up since like 6:30 this morning, so I'm a little tired, but I'm going to push through. First and foremost, please rate and review this episode, no matter where you're listening to it from. If you're listening to me on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please do that. If you want to find out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAYWashington80. But whatever podcast platform you are listening to the Mad Titan Podcast on, please make sure you rate it and review it. Give it these ratings and reviews, and it bumps it up in the algorithm so more people can find and listen to it. And again, I'm going to start bringing more guests back on. It's just a matter of scheduling. I know a lot of people may not be busy, but still are trying to be busy at the same time, all right? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, as always, Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. You can get your Mad Titan Podcast t-shirts, Mad Titan Podcast t-shirts. Go to TeePublic, TeePublic.com/user/Mr. J Washington. Get your Mad Titan t-shirts, man. TeePublic.com/user/Mr. J Washington. And when you get it, take a picture, tag me in it. And also, if you want to join the Supervillain Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. It is an honor to have people over at the squad. As always, when you join, you are an automatic producer of the Mad Titan Podcast, anything I do. And I am also going to record this week. I've been meaning to do it. It's just trying to do a million different things. I'm going to record a new episode of Clotheslines and Punchlines, the wrestling podcast I do specifically for the Patreon. And if you hit the $25 tier, that's my one-on-one with the Supervillain tier. And what we do is we sit down for at least an hour and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. This ain't about me, it's about you. And I'm telling you, these discussions have been phenomenal. Like I talk to now, I'm cycling through and we talk to some of the same people each and every month. But the conversations they're different, they get better and better, and I enjoy them so much. I people be like, oh, you just saying that so people can stay at the tier. No, I tell people outside of this, outside of recordings and shit, like I really love doing the one-on-one tier. And to those who have joined, who have told me, like, it's special because not many, if any, of the creators or whatever are doing that to interact with their fans like that. And again, it's like, you support me, I can give my time, and I'm enjoying it every step of the way. But I want to give a shout out to the members of the squad. I have to make sure the list is updated because a lot of people dropped off, which is fine. Again, people have had to drop and lower their tiers, and at no point will you ever hear Jay Washington say, well, fuck y'all if you don't want to support. No, because you know why? I completely understand what this day and age is. The fact that you choose to throughout everything, I am extremely grateful. You don't have to. Like I tell people, you don't have to join the squad. You can send me something through Cash App or Venmo. Some people have done that, and I'm extremely grateful. Cash App is the $, Mr. J Washington, Venmo at Mr. J Washington. But to members of the squad, thank you. To my newest members, Jose Lizarraga, thank you, and Saul Gobin. I'm surprised Saul had not been a member of the squad, but again, I understand things. She supports everything myself, Winston does, so I'm grateful for you guys. To my existing members, Adam Collins, Alberto Rios, thank you for being at that 101. Adelia Chamberlain, Ashley King, AZ Badfish at that 101. Brock Severson, Brian Lawson, Chauncey Woodson, one of the homies at the 101. Cheryl Corman, Christopher Conley, Dan Benke, David Adams, Deontay Clemens, Edward Wilshire, Fanboy Cantina, Fillmore Pockets, Greg Castillo, Hillary Nellums, Jake Icavetta, James Robbins, Jared Simpson, Jason Emmons, Jeffrey Chadorn, Jim Mason, Jim Payne, thank you for being at that 101. Jolene, thank you for being at that 101. Justice Square, Kirsty Oliveria, LK, Luis Torres, thank you for being at the 101, brother. Marcus Kennedy, Marcus Burton, Mike Moore, Mikey Lito, Paisley Darts, Patrick Harden, Quentin Milrow, Randy Constance, thank you for being at the 101. Randy Rueda, thank you for being at the 101. And Samir Tesfaye, I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, I can't do this without y'all, and y'all give me the energy and reason to do it, even if it's by myself. And so I'm super grateful for you all. I appreciate it a millionfold. Y'all like listening to me talk, and especially when I have other people. But the fact that you will listen to me when it's me means more than anything in the world. I'm grateful for y'all. Appreciative of y'all. Holler at y'all next week. Hopefully this week loads us up with more news. All right, take care. I'm out. Bye.